I was 26 when my life changed forever. Back in New York, I worked in an office with a promising future ahead of me. On weekends, I loved sailing my small boat on the bay. One Saturday, I ventured too far, and the afternoon wind swept me out into the Atlantic Ocean. By nightfall, I had lost all hope until a British ship rescued me. I worked as a sailor during the long voyage to London, arriving with nothing but tattered clothes and a $1 in my pocket. That dollar fed me for one day. The next day I wandered the streets starving, too ashamed to pick up an apple a child had discarded. Just as I was about to grab it anyway, a voice called from a window above. A well-dressed servant led me into an elegant room where two elderly brothers sat discussing something serious. I couldn't stop staring at their breakfast. What I didn't know was that these gentlemen had made an unusual bet. They wanted to test whether an honest stranger could survive in London for 30 days with nothing but $1 million banknote without being arrested as a thief. After hearing my story, they decided I was perfect for their experiment. They handed me an envelope and told me not to open it until later. Confused and hurt by what felt like a cruel joke, I left. When I finally opened the envelope, I nearly fainted. Inside was a banknote worth $5 million. Trembling, I entered a restaurant and ate ravenously. When I tried to pay, the owner couldn't make change and insisted I could eat there free whenever I wanted, assuming I was a rich eccentric dressed as a pauper. I realized the brothers must have made a mistake, but I had no way to return the note since they had left for the continent without leaving an address. If I went to the bank, no one would believe my story. I might end up in an asylum or prison. My only choice was to keep the banknote for the full month and help the old gentleman win his bet. Perhaps then he would reward me with the job I desperately needed. With this plan in mind, I began visiting shops. Every tailor and merchant treated me poorly at first, but the moment I showed the banknote, their attitudes transformed completely. I acquired everything I needed on credit, promising to pay later. The newspapers caught wind of my story, and soon all of London was talking about the mysterious millionaire with the $1 million note. I became a celebrity overnight. Though I never forgot this was all a beautiful dream that would end when the brothers returned. 10 days into my new life, I visited the American ambassador who had known my father. He invited me to a dinner party where I met the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Phoebe Hastings was 21, and we fell in love instantly. At the same party, I encountered my old colleague from New York, a man named Edric, who had come to London to sell shares in a Florida gold mine. He was desperate because he had failed to find buyers and spent all his money. Seeing my apparent wealth, he begged for help. Though I was actually penniless myself, a brilliant idea struck me. I told Edric to use my name to guarantee the mine's value. Within days, wealthy Londoners rushed to buy the shares. Trusting my recommendation, soon Edric and I each had $1 million deposited in the Bank of England. I kept this secret from Phoebe, wanting to surprise her. We spent every evening together at the ambassador's house, talking about our love and future. I was honest about being poor, and she loved me anyway, though she didn't know about my recent fortune from the mine shares. When the month finally ended, I dressed in my finest clothes and brought Phoebe to meet the two gentlemen on Brick Street. They were shocked to see her with me. I returned the $1 million note triumphantly, proving I had survived the 30 days. One brother declared he had won the bet, while the other admitted defeat. Then I revealed my certificate of deposit for $300,000 earned by using their banknote to guarantee the mine. They were astonished. Phoebe looked at me with surprise and hurt, realizing I hadn't told her everything. Before I could explain, she walked over to one of the gentlemen, sat on his lap, and kissed him affectionately. I stood frozen in shock until she called him father. The gentleman was her stepfather. Everything suddenly made sense, including why she had laughed so hard when I first told her my story. The gentleman offered me any job I wanted as payment for winning his bet. I thought for a moment and smiled. There was only one position I truly desired. I told him the job of Snella. After pretending to consider my qualifications, he laughed and agreed, telling me to take his daughter. Our happiness was beyond words. When the full story became public, all of London talked of nothing else. Phoebe's father cashed the banknote and gave it to us as a wedding present. We framed it and hung it on our wall as a reminder of how everything began. That $1 million note never bought me a single meal or piece of clothing, but it bought me something far more precious. It bought me Phoebe, the most valuable treasure in the world, and a love that would last forever.